On this episode of How Not to Build, I got to catch up with an old friend of mine, Rob Oesch. He's currently the Director of Product Management at Kaseware. We talk about why you need to stop doing math when it comes to your startup, practical advice for when you transition into a leadership position with your existing team, and a little bit about what it's going to look like when, instead of hiring full-time employees, we're hiring AI agents. At Kaseware, Rob delivers a premier investigative platform for law enforcement, corporate security, and intelligence analysts. Check them out. Super cool stuff. I hope you enjoy episode 23 of How Not to Build. Have your bloom today. Be a professional fake podcaster.
Yes.
I want to be professional.
How not to build.
How not to build.
How not to build what?
Mostly tech products.
Oh.
I started this podcast for a couple of reasons, but one of them was that I'm a builder.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
That's what we do at Gemini.
Yeah.
We help founders launch their ideas, build prototypes and MVPs. And I found myself working with a lot of SMBs, folks who are not in the tech field, and they're not listening to the All-In podcast every week and Y Combinator YouTube channel stuff. And so I found myself in the position of giving them product advice, where traditionally that's not really my thing. And they have trouble listening to that. And I think it's part of it's my own, okay, how can I communicate this better? But I think a lot of times too, it's just such a foreign concept of, like the prototype mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to build something in 3 months. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be rough, but you have to prove out as fast as possible. And anyway, so it's kind of grew out of this desire of like, okay, how do I create a little bit of education about how things get built? And I think, when you go look at, I don't know if you listen to like Lenny's podcast or some of these other real famous like tech
I get the tidbits. Yeah. But
so my thing with like Lenny's or Lex Friedman or Joe Rogan's quite a bit better, but still by the time you end up on one of those mainstream podcasts, all they want to hear about is your success.
Sure.
And I remember I was listening to Joe Rogan. He was talking to the Black Keys.
Okay.
And they said that they lived like cockroaches for 10 years grinding on, they produced like 3 albums or something. And it wasn't until their 3rd or 4th album that like they hit the charts. Yeah. And that stuck with me so much because at that time, any famous artist, I'm just like, oh, they're just amazing. It's just pure talent, whatever. And then it's like, oh, like most of the people that actually make it into the top tier fought for it and failed many times along the way. Yeah. So it's kind of the other motivation with this podcast is I want to talk to successful people, but I really want to focus on pain, the failures, the bodies along the way, and just kind of try to resonate more with those of us who are still in those trenches, struggling and all that.
The 3 months build it fast. Couldn't that be the failure? Couldn't that be the like fail fast?
Absolutely.
As long as you're willing to rewrite.
Absolutely. But I was surprised at how many people I talked to, they were not egotistical. And yet that 3 months, they could not see that as an experiment. They wanted that 3 months to
that was the final product.
That's the final thing.
Yeah. I'm done.
And especially before some of this AI revolution craziness, it's like 3 months might cost you $50,000. So in their mind, or even $100,000 if you're getting like a full team. In their mind, it's like, well, I can't spend $100,000 every 3 months for 3 or 4 iterations before I finally get this. Right. Like to them, it's like, no, we have to get it right on the first.
Well, they're doing a lot of math. Maybe that's the problem.
No, don't do math.
Don't do math in the beginning.
I love
the
that.
math does not math.
I love that. That's a really good spin on the thing about do things that don't scale.
Yeah.
You're like, don't do the math.
Don't do the math. Yeah. I mean, somebody's doing the math for you.
Somebody's doing the math.
That's surprising.
How do you do that though? How do you get over that math hump and just don't do the math? And
I mean, what has been awesome in the things that I've been involved in is like you hear people say it was a mission driven company or a mission driven whatever. Okay. Talk is cheap, but understanding exactly what it is you're trying to solve for and knowing that you're solving a problem that matters. Math is kind of secondary at that point. Like there is this problem that we were solving. There are these many people that are interested in it. See, I just did math. There's people interested in it. We know it's a problem that can be solved. It's going to make an impact and it's going to change lives. Do what you got to do.
You know what you did though is I feel like you did macro math
Sure.
and not micromanage.
Sure.
Because you want to know that you have a target. You want to know there's on the order of millions and not tens of people out there that you're solving problems for.
Sure.
But if you start itemizing what it takes to get the first 10, the next 10, the next 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The other one is you've heard people talk about 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. And they're usually talking about revenue. And then the way I like to equate it is like number of clients. If you have no clients, getting to that first one, that's hard. And then you have that first one. Like, hey, now I want a 10x. Okay, I want to get to 10. Getting from 1 to 10 is hard. But to get from 1 to 10, you actually have to do things differently than you did to get from 0 to 1. And the same is from 10 to 100. And so that like people are tired of hearing me say, what you did to get to this point is awesome. Like, we're in a good spot. To get to that next point, you got to do it differently. And that's not an obvious thing it's not like a easy pill to swallow. Yeah. Because oftentimes you work so hard to get to that stage and you've failed a lot. You've tried all these things and say, hey, we can't do it this way because that's not going to work. And now you're at this kind of plateau and you almost have to start over in your mind, but you're starting over at a different point. But you can't keep doing the same thing the same way to scale, right? And again, I'm using math. We're using numbers.
Well, you are, but you're kind of using it, I think, categorically in principles, right? Because you're kind of saying like, you're going to struggle. Actually, I really like what you're saying, because I think that's another problem I've seen a lot. And I'm wondering if you can give a practical, very tactical example of this.
Yeah.
But what I hear you saying is like, going from that 0 to 1, you're going to fail a bunch of times and you finally find the system that works. As soon as you find the system that works and gets you to that 1, that system is immediately out of date, because now you got to go from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And so you immediately go back into exploration mode of some sort, throw out what just is working. And like it's like that emotional thing of like, I finally found it.
Yeah.
I want to hold on to it. It's like, well, no, you got to dump it.
You worked really hard to get there.
Yeah.
Why would I just let it go? Why wouldn't I keep doing the same thing? I've had success with this pattern.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I keep that pattern?
Yeah.
It's a very human condition.
Very. You have an example?
Yeah. So when you start, and you can do this today if you're using AI coding tools, what are the best practices? So everybody wants to put in and say, hey, build me this system using best practices. That's the ideal. When you're building something brand new, very rarely are you using best practices because you don't have the time. Now, I wonder, this AI revolution, whatever you want to call it, Web 3.0, whatever kind of marketing or branding you put on it, I wonder if that changes, it somehow flips it on its head, because you now can build a system with best practices in a very short amount of time with very little money. I'm just curious how that's going to play out. But that's the practical example, and one of many practical examples. You got to just get something dirty. You got to get it out there, and you got to get that client. You got to build what it is that they need, even though it's maybe not what everybody wants. It's what they need. And so that's that 1 to 10 is now you're not just building for that one client. You've got 10 clients that need something more universal. And then going from 10 to 100, now all of a sudden, that first client, they might be in the rearview mirror. And that's a tough pill to swallow too. Nobody wants to let go of that first client. And I'm not saying you have to, but if you're still beholden to that first client, then client 100 is going to suffer. It's not an easy message, right? Like, so the trick is figuring out how to maintain that scale or that general applicability to get to 100 and not leave that first client in the dust, because they've grown to accept a certain amount of attention and customizations. It's tricky.
Such a great point. There's like several things I want to unpack there, but excuse me. How much, this is something I see a lot of people struggle with. How much do you, especially in 0 to 1, how much are you building for the 1 to 10 in that phase? Is it just like 100%, not at all, shut it down? If it's not helping one client, just don't even think about it. Or is there some kind of balance there of how much groundwork you lay?
Everybody starts from a different spot. Everybody has different resources available to them. So there's no one answer, right?
Yes.
There's no one diet plan here that's going to work. But you're always trying to think of that 10th or 100th client. You're always pushing back on, hey, we need this particular feature. And you're in your mind, you're going, I feel like that's just for you. but it's going to take us a day or less. It's going to help us move the needle. It's going to get us past. And then inevitably, that 5 years from now, you're going to look at that feature and you're going to know that you spent more than a day on it because you've been maintaining it for the last 5 years. But what are you going to do? Say no? Right. You just say no to that first client? It's tricky because that's where like the math doesn't work. Do you want to do professional services? Do you want to be a professional services shop? Just building to whatever, who's going to pay the bills? Right. Or do you want to build a product that is going to, be a like SaaS offer? And both are right. Both are okay. And then you could make the decision today and that's never going to go away. 3 years from now, you might be faced with the exact same decision and you might pivot. And that's okay too. But by that time, you've got different people throwing money at you.
Yeah. I mean, I think you bring up a good point about the cost to build. And you're right that it's not just even if it takes one day for Claude Code to crap out all that feature, whatever, you're then maintaining that and carrying it forward. But like you're saying, it's like, hey, if you can do a couple one-day features that really earn the loyalty of that first customer, yeah, you're going to be paying for that later, but it's probably the right call. Whereas if you find yourself doing 5 one-day features every week because this customer is complaining and whining and whatever, maybe at that point it's like, okay, this is actually costing us a lot, and maybe we need to start finding a way to gently say no and tell them you're in a beta phase or something, or a validation phase, and try to hold them off a little bit so you can put your resources more into the platform at that point, and getting customer out there too.
Yeah, I think the misperception when you've got those early clients is that there's an assumption that you've already built the foundation. Right. There's an assumption that, that I'm using this product. What do you mean it's not fully developed? I'm using it.
Yep.
The classic, like, here's a prototype. There's a reason that you draw a prototype on a napkin or you make it a wireframe. You don't want any misunderstandings about what is available and what's ready, which is also scary. Not scary. It's also, it's an opportunity. It's also exciting.
Nice spin there.
Yeah. You like that? Yeah. When you think about, I've used Figma. So Figma is a prototyping tool.
Yep.
Figma Make is their AI module. I can have a conversation and within 5 minutes, I'm clicking through screens and I can attach that to a data store. I can add authentication. I'm using an app. Now it's not production ready. That was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We could be discussing an idea and having a conversation and clicking through screens.
Yeah.
In minutes.
I mean, back to your point earlier about, when do the best practices get introduced in the cycle? And I mean, certainly with all the vibe coding and stuff, I mean, there's some, there's some cliffs there that we can fall off of. And I think people are going to continue to fall off of them for a while.
Sure.
But I think that we are going to get to the point where it's like, you can build so much, like your prototype phase just becomes that much more robust to where probably you can get, you can use that prototype to go from 0 to 1 pretty safely just through vibe coding or something like vibe coding.
Sure. Yeah.
But then you are going to hit that, like, okay, now it's time to scale. Now it's time to, do a little bit more.
Right.
Let Rob loose with the Figma Make and see what happens.
I mean, the tools are there.
Hit the publish button.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Okay. So one of the reasons I want to talk to you is that you've been blending kind of the law enforcement space and tech for many years. 25 years.
25. I'm not as young as you.
You look about as young as I. No, you don't actually.
I had that coming.
No, but you're looking good. That's so careful how far I do.
I know. I mean, technically we were in school together.
We were technically in school together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I ran into you. And that was a project, I mean, I've not worked in law enforcement, but I've got law enforcement in my family. And that's kind of what drew us. Our first project was that social media for law enforcement. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like scraping tweets and stuff and trying to feed that to detectives.
If we then could see what is available today in the world of open source intelligence. So I don't know if you talked about that or heard about it, but it's sometimes shortened to OSINT, OSINT.
OSINT
is the acronym.
Open Source Intelligence.
That's it. Open source intelligence.
INT is intelligence. Got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Do you know the difference between an acronym and an initialism?
No. Tell me.
Okay. FBI is an initialism. OSINT is an acronym.
How is OSINT an acronym though?
Because you can say it as a word.
But that's what it is?
That's the difference. FBI is you say the letters. So it's an initialism. See, you learned something new.
Look at that.
If you take one thing away
From this whole conversation.
this is my knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I can lord it over somebody else too.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that's not an acronym.
That's not an
initialism.
acronym. Initialism.
So open source intelligence is doing what we were trying to do
Really?
at just a massive scale. It's a whole industry. Yeah.
Any money there? Did we miss out on a whale of a project idea?
I think others were doing it,
Yeah,
just not talking about it.
probably.
And we were just in a college class trying to make something out of nothing. We got it to work, kind of, didn't we?
It worked because we were plotting it on a map.
Yeah,
We had everything like plotted on a map.
Yeah.
You could like filter on like a time range or something.
Yeah,
I remember,
keywords. Yeah,
right? That's pretty good for a couple of dudes in a college class.
yeah, we were doing it.
Yeah. I mean, so much so that I had stayed, I think you had moved on at that point, but I stayed in contact with somebody. I don't know if she was a detective or what, but she was some kind of analyst or detective at the local police department.
Yeah.
Her and I would catch up once every 3 months. And she like used the tool a little bit. And but then, like you said, she was like, other tools started coming on the market. And so she would come back to me and like, okay, well, this is what this tool's doing, but here's what I don't like about it. Could you do this? And, I was running out of steam doing stuff by myself at that point. Yeah. It's hard to stay motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had the right idea.
Yeah.
So what did we miss? How could we have, there was
what's the lesson there?
Yeah. What is the
How
lesson?
not to build?
I don't know.
I think a big lesson for me that kind of applies to that is that you can have the technical chops and not the business chops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not going to go anywhere.
Or the connections.
Man. The network.
Yeah.
Which I could have leveraged my network at that point though, with my family and law enforcement and other stuff. The connection probably was there. I think I just didn't have the business acumen to say, okay, how do I productionize this? I didn't know anything about raising money at that point. I don't even know if we would have wanted to. Yeah.
The other like key to success that I've seen is you've got people that are in the space, I think Kaseware is a great example where you've got people that retire or left the FBI to then build a product. Even when I was at Axon, you've got a lot of people that have kind of left that space of law enforcement and now are part of the building process for the product to go back and serve it. That combination, I had experience just doing tech up until that point, but it carries a different message when you walk in the room with someone who is former, insert blank here. And so that's a powerful delivery.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like I could talk about that a lot more too. And I think that's where Kaseware is a product company.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that a little more later. But I think that's where really I try to pitch my company to be like, hey, like you know everything about what the FBI needs.
Yeah.
But you don't have the engineers to build it.
Yeah.
That's where, I try to come in and kind of help people that have that, not just business experience, but I would say domain expertise.
That's right.
Subject matter expertise where they truly know the problems and have really good ideas on how to solve them.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Honestly, with the AI stuff and like people getting laid off from jobs, like I still see that as a massive opportunity too.
Sure.
Like all these folks in different industries that have experience. It's like, well, they're enabled to be builders now too, to some degree with the vibe coding or whatever. And so I think that there's going to be a swell of products that just continue to come out over the years that are just more and more niche, that serve niche industry. Back to you. You spent over 10 years at the 911 dispatch down here in
17 and a half. I had different positions. So what you're seeing there is probably the different. Yeah.
17
I was 10 years as the assistant director.
Okay. 10 years as the assistant director. Through that whole kind of earlier in your career, Especially from, I mean, tech or leadership perspective, whichever
Yeah.
comes to mind. But what was the biggest mistake that you made, and what did you learn from?
Yeah. Just the gut answer is boundaries.
Mm.
And it's a touchy one because I really enjoyed working with all the people that were there. I had good relationships. Even, had some good friendships that came out of that, which I think is okay. And I don't want to like discourage people from, establishing, friendships outside of work. Cause I think that's human. That's normal. It's okay. Cause you don't want to go the other end of the spectrum, which is like, okay, I'm at work. I'm not talking to anybody. I found it difficult as I progressed because I started as a software developer, and then I was a software developer manager, and then I was assistant director. And then I wasn't just overseeing all of IT, but I was overseeing all of the records operations. So I had about 50 people in both like technical capacities and, operational capacities. And, at that point, I'd been working with them for almost 10 years. It was it was a change because all of a sudden, I would walk in the room and conversations would stop because the boss is in the room. And so I couldn't have foreseen that coming. I wouldn't change anything about the relationships that I had. I still stay in touch with quite a few people that I worked with, but it definitely made it a little more difficult when you're in that leadership role, um, to kind of set some boundaries that you need to set.
Did you feel like you had to be the one setting those boundaries
Absolutely.
and making sure that people saw you not as my homie, my friend, but like,
Oh, there was no mistake about that.
okay,
Nobody was going to risk saying the wrong thing to the boss. Right?
okay.
It was more my own like boundaries that I set for myself. Like I'm not going to. I take full responsibility of my own actions. I needed probably to be a little more with some people.
Okay.
But that's it. I don't know. It's also a government job, so it's a whole different ballgame. Like as soon as I left the government and worked for publicly traded company, private company, it's entirely different. Dynamics at the workplace are entirely different because it's just assumed when you're at the government, you're going to be working with these people for a long time. And then when you switch to the other side, I can log in and somebody's account's deactivated.
Yeah.
So it's not a fun subject. It's not a, but it's like the reality of.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I was telling you earlier. That's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast.
Yeah.
It was like there are not fun subjects, but
It's also why
I actually liked. If you want to edit this part out, we can edit this part out. But you were talking to your son earlier.
Yeah.
And you did not hesitate to say drugs and alcohol, drunk. I think you said drunk. You said drunk and high. That's what you said. Drunk and high.
Yeah.
I appreciated that so much.
Oh,
I really did. I really did because I know a lot of people, and I don't know if it's just mine and your background because you have this law enforcement similarity going on, but I know a lot of people who like they don't want to say the word drugs in front of their kids.
Yeah.
And they're like
they're like
15 years old sometimes. It's like, look, these are the realities of the world though. There's wisdom with everything. And I'm not going to try to overexpose my 2-year-old or something crazy, but but my belief is that the real world is out there.
Yeah.
And our responsibility as parents is to prepare our kids for that. And again, the same with, this business podcast. It's like, look, things are difficult. And when other folks are in that position, they want to know that that is the reality. Things do get difficult. You do question yourself and deal with imposter syndrome and all these, kinds of things. Anyways, total rabbit trail a little bit, but to your point about, it sounds like the professionalism was a lot easier it kind of comes with the culture in the publicly traded companies, the government, it's like a little different. It's just trying to navigate.
Oh, we were still professional. Okay. It's just when I don't smoke cigarettes, but as like an example, you take smoke breaks. You work with somebody for 7 years and you take smoke breaks with them. Or, every Monday, that's the day you go get coffee on your afternoon break. And then all of a sudden you're the boss. Like it's a dynamic that you don't anticipate, but you also want. I was very driven. I'm still very driven.
Yeah.
I wanted those positions. I wanted to be promoted. And I just am very I just like to talk to people and be human,
Yeah. Yeah.
not some kind of robot, But so the second thing came to mind was like understanding the leadership style. So
Mm.
and again, if you want some tech answers, I can go there, but it's more to do with, when I'm in those higher leadership positions, there were things that I brought to the table. And this is probably all companies I've been at, government, all companies. But there's things that I brought to the table where I'm convinced this is the best idea. I've got consensus among my peers, and it just lands flat with like not even 5 seconds of thought. And I'm going, well, I just like spent 2 weeks researching this and putting it together, and like, oh nope. And so what I've gotten better at
Now, would that be to a superior, or is that to the team that you're trying to buy in
like
from?
pitching to upper
To a
leadership.
superior.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've gotten it's something that I've worked on, and I'm still probably not great, but is understanding, like reading the room a little better, I guess is a way to put it. Okay, I can observe and see what kind of, pitch decks or what keywords. A lot of times it's just the words I'm using or how I'm presenting. I've had some, in leadership that appreciated the 10-minute introduction to build the
The case.
build the your credibility.
Yeah.
And then I've had others where if you don't tell them what it is you want within the first 60 seconds, they've moved on. And it kind of sounds obvious, like you got to know the leadership, you got to know your boss, but that's just that's something I'm still working on. Like,
So
if you're going to go do a
that?
pitch to somebody you never met, you're trying to read that room so quickly.
Sure.
And trying to understand. You're hoping to be in there when somebody else is making a pitch, so you can get that intel. But even when you work with someone every day, I think especially now that we're remote almost all the time, it's really hard to understand what those cues are. Just even seeing somebody shift in their chair, or whether they're checking their phone or not, like
they glance down.
Yeah, that's been something I've struggled with. Yeah.
Have you ever? Has that just been like very much like on the day to day learning that stuff, or is there any like professional development you've taken over the years that's helped with some of that? Or
I think just being aware.
Yeah.
I'm probably the older I get, the more aware I am.
Okay.
When you're in your 20s, you're invincible and you have all the best ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing is understanding the good cop, bad cop. It plays. It plays everywhere. And I was the bad cop, not knowing it for many situations, like early in my career as a leader.
Okay.
I still was not like, CEO, but they needed to be able to be the good cop. And once I learned that the person above me needed to be the good cop, and it was okay for me to be bad cop.
Okay.
I started having better relationships and like more success.
Can you give a kind of a concrete example of that? Or
Sure. If you've ever wanted to fire somebody because you have all the reasons in the world, or demote them, you sometimes think everybody's on board. But in reality, I needed to be the one that was presenting the information, making the recommendations, and that other person was the one that got to give the leniency or the second chance. Early in my career, I didn't really. I was like, well, this person did all these things. Of course, they need to be demoted, or we need to like get them on a performance improvement plan.
You did too much math?
I did too much math. Yeah, way to bring it back, man. I did all the math, and I'm like, but the math masked.
Yeah.
And really, it was more about the relationships and the, leadership styles of, okay, yeah, so I, as the head person at an agency, you sit down and go, so I see you've had some problems. And, Rob, he brought the receipts. I'm going to give you a second chance. That happened a couple times. Yeah, that happened a couple times.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
yeah,
I see how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, though, a lot of that's relationships. And I think about this, not to keep bringing it back to kids, but you think about it with kids too. And just like, you have to let them fall on their face, but then you have to pick them up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's the wake up call people need. And if you're just like kind of one chance and you're out.
Yeah.
Or like, the math, it's like, well, HR says 3 strikes, boom, 3 strikes. Like, done pretty bad. That maybe works for some cultures, but honestly, if that person can overcome that, if they see those 3 strikes, they see they've been given a second chance, often that person can become one of the better performing employees because they know, how much grace was extended. And it's not just grace too. Sometimes it's like, hey, I believe you can do it. Like, I know you have this in you.
Yeah.
Maybe something's going on at home, whatever, like you've had a rough patch or whatever. Like, I know the real you is in there and can really come out and shine given the right opportunity. Good people will rise to that.
Yep. And you want to catch that sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true too. Any failure stories with that, Rob?
Oh, yeah. Not that we need to discuss here.
It's hard to strike that balance, giving grace, but then also being decisive.
Yeah.
Okay. So from there, you went on to Axon, as the director of customer solution engineering.
That was my last title there.
That was the last title.
Yeah.
How long were you there again?
5 years.
5 years.
And I think I had 3 or 4 different titles, but that was the intent.
You're a fast mover.
Oh no, that was all intent. It was, when I joined on that essentially professional services team, it was for a brand new product and we had 1 client.
Can you give, I guess, the 1 sentence? What did the product do?
It's records management.
Okay. Records management for law enforcement. One client.
1 client. Yeah. And hadn't launched yet.
Hadn't launched yet.
Okay. And so they brought me and 2. Well, by the time it was all said and done, within about a 6-month period, myself and 5 of the people that worked for me went to Axon. And there's some debate with me and one of the other person, like who was first. And
from your previous job,
from my government job.
So you had pulled over, you and 4 or 5 other people.
Yeah. Well, me and one other person were kind of the first in.
So who gets all the credit?
Yeah.
Yeah. All
right. And so we went there to be on the professional services team to help with delivery and integrations. And so at that time, there were only about 8 of us on that professional services team. Okay. When I left in 5 years later, many more products had been added to that team and many clients had been added to that original product. And there were about 120 plus people on that professional services team.
Wow.
So massive growth in 5 years. We hit those 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100. I watched all those progressions happen. I was part of those progressions. Hiring, I interviewed people constantly. Every week I was interviewing people. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you get to this point and then I realized I really love 0 to 1, 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Like if I fail, I'm out of a job.
Stakes are pretty high.
That was really intriguing to me, talking about side hustles. And, I mean, essentially I figured out a way, I think, to feel that or to scratch that itch, without having to go on my own.
On somebody else's dime.
But like,
that's a good way to do it.
Well, and it's still there's still the same risk where if this doesn't work, then we're done.
Right.
And somehow we convince those other people to leave a government job, go there. And I think it turned out.
Did that ever backfire? Bringing 5 government employees over?
Well, we had built a great team. And this is, within the engineering part of it, they were all software developers. And we had built a great team over the course of 10 years. People talk about doing agile software development. And I think we had almost perfected it. We were really proud of what we had done. We were doing all the ceremonies. Our retrospectives were very efficient, and we actually followed through on the items that we said we should do different.
It's a rare thing.
I mean, it is. And I've not seen that since. So it was a really good group of engineers, and we brought them in. And, I think one of them is still there. 2 of them I know went back to government jobs.
Okay.
And I think that worked out really well for them.
Yeah. Had their fun, got the experience.
Yeah. And, I got them out of their comfort zone. They're just really smart people that had a lot of potential and still have a lot of potential. And I just kind of, hopefully, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but hopefully it kind of opened their eyes to, oh, wait, I can do other things. I am worth, more than that.
Yeah. Well, if you're wrong, they'll be commenting in the comments.
I know. No, they're good. They're good people.
Wow. So that's pretty cool. So then what, going from that 110, 10 to 100, I mean, what would be, you know, maybe the biggest failure or a major failure that you made in that process, and how did you adapt
Yeah.
and overcome it?
Yeah. Me personally. I wonder, I don't tend to look back and regret much, ditch that stuff from my head pretty quickly. I probably was there a little too long.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was constantly adapting.
Okay.
I think I had realized maybe about 3.5 years in, or 4 years, that I really loved this, 0 to 1, 1 to 10. And I really was feeding off of that. And as soon as it became repetitive and programmatic, which it absolutely has to do. If your goal is to scale, once you have achieved that scale,
Rinse and repeat.
rinse and repeat. And that's important. And there's people that enjoy that. I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
And so up until that point, I had constantly adapted. We were growing teams, had different titles. I didn't really care about the titles. We were just, more customers. We had successes of our process. So other products that, were struggling a little bit became part of our purview.
Okay.
And started following our process. I consolidated a lot of integration into one platform. We built data migration platforms from scratch. It was fun. And then it wasn't, it was because we were done.
Have to build and
We were done. And so I was looking for that next kind of thing, and I couldn't find it. At the same time, I was able to move to Caseware, and that was a good move. Like, there's nothing wrong with that move. And so the timing worked. I don't know. I mean, had I left earlier, would I have the opportunity that I have now at Caseware? Maybe not.
Right.
That's what I mean. But I don't know.
What was the biggest challenge in that whole process? Like, was there an aspect of it that you struggled with the most? People, technology, process, customers?
I hesitate to say, like, working at the government has a certain speed. It doesn't mean it's the wrong speed, right? Just because you've done it this way before, it doesn't mean, anyway, it doesn't mean it's the wrong speed. But there's a certain security you have, because you want, and I get it politically, you want your government to be there when you need them.
You do.
And
everybody wants their government to support that.
Right. When they need it.
When they need it.
Yeah. And so, that's not the model that necessarily fits with all the math of making money, because the priority is not making money there. The priority is, local priorities. And anyways, we'll get sidetracked easily there. So moving to Axon, private company or publicly traded company, I felt like 25 miles an hour to 100 miles an hour. And there's a lot of reasons why, there is a stigma about government employees, but it's exactly what I needed. It's exactly what I was looking for. And, I very much appreciate the people that took a chance on me, because there was no stopping after that. But it was hard. It was hard to make that mental switch, even though I had to, because if it didn't work, I was out of a job, which is part of what I loved. I know it sounds like I'm kind of talking out of two sides, but I needed that kick. I needed that. But it was hard to then see in the first year or two the realities of tech, the realities of I can log in and somebody is not working there. That was just a foreign concept to me. I didn't have an appreciation for that, even though I could have been one of those people. But I knew what my criteria was. I knew what my success and failure looked like. It was very tangible. Because it was that one product, it was that one client. Sure. But then I got exposed to the thing that, people have been dealing with for decades.
Sure.
This is not a new thing.
Sure.
We can talk about layoffs today and talk like it's a new thing, but it's not a new thing.
Right.
It just has a different flavor behind it. That was a tough adjustment, but
that's a good call out.
Yeah.
Your case is interesting too, I think, because I don't remember if we were recording or not, but earlier you were telling me I asked you, like, have you thought about a side hustle? And the first answer was no, but then we dug into it. It's like, you've had a side hustle since college, since before basically before you even had a first job, or at the same time you had a first job, you had a side hustle at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, okay, you're the kind of guy that wants to go 100 miles an hour, but then you spend 17 years at a government job,
which is probably why I kept that side hustle.
Yeah, probably.
I needed more.
It needs more stimulation. You probably have ADHD. Yeah. But to your point though, it's like you had developed systems and processes at that 17-year government job that worked. They worked well. And even if it wasn't, human beings are so interesting to me, because even if those processes weren't natural to you,
right,
it's kind of the habits that you had built. And so even though Axon might have been more natural to you at a personal sense, you still had these 17 years of habits that had to be sort of unwired, rewired, lean into something new, a new culture, a new speed, all that stuff. And it's hard.
Unless you subscribe to throw me in the deep end and learn how to swim. That's me. So many things.
That's good. Well, and I think I do think though that is another, I think the reason I highlight this a little bit more here is because I've mentioned it before in previous episodes. Honestly, I don't want to tire it out, but I remember reading about, some musician, somebody like Kanye West or something, great success in the music world, which is a world of performances and everything. Then they went and tried to be an actor. Failed. Miserably. And you would think there's a lot of similarities there, right? And you would think that it's like a natural transition, but it just wasn't for that particular person. And, again, it's like, hey, you might have done all this time at the FBI, you might have run big projects at scale, but then you go try to do a tech product. And there's certainly some transferable skills. It's fundamentally a different domain. Things move at a different speed. Even before AI, things were different. Now it's even more different. So, I mean, I do think that that's just a challenge people have to admit sometimes and put their ego aside and say, hey, even if I've run 200-person departments, now I'm trying to build a startup with a 5-person team. And I got to have this mental openness to say, okay, it's going to be different.
Right.
And the sooner I can accept that and embrace it, the better off.
Yeah. And I mean, not to plug my current employer, but
do it.
They did that.
Caseware.
They made the transition from FBI, literally from the FBI to running a tech company, a tech startup. And the founders are still there and they built a successful product.
Tell us about Caseware.
Okay. So the story is kind of the lead into the product. I could just tell you, here's what a product does. Here's why it's different than the others. I think the story behind it is important because it builds that credibility. Okay. I'll give you the credibility part first instead of giving you the bottom line up front. But, a couple of people from the FBI, they were in the field, they were doing their FBI things. And it was time for the FBI to rewrite their case management system, their investigative case management system. And the first go round of it failed. Bunch of money. They were not part of it
internally.
No, they contracted with an outside company to do it. It was just not going in the right direction. And they caught it within the first year or two. And so then they said, hey, wait a minute. We've got some internal people that have skills in tech. Just to be pretty generic about it. And I don't know if they, our founders kind of pitched it to their leadership or something happened somewhere where now you've got who would become our founders still at the FBI, were given a budget, a very healthy budget, started over, build it from the ground up. Wow. And it was success. It got used. And I think there, I'll put words in my mouth. There's maybe this moment where they looked at each other and said, wait a minute, we can do this again somewhere else. And that's exactly what they did. And so, they made that switch back to tech and, did the classic work out of the garage, 370 square foot space and it worked out. And so
for a different industry,
well, just private, right?
Private.
They privately started their company.
Right.
And they started selling to both government and corporate security. And so, that's what we do today is we have, a very robust investigative case management system We recently merged with a company called OSINT Combine, and that is the open source intelligence half. So, you've got your investigative case management where you want to maintain like a system of record, and you're preparing your evidence and your packet for the DA, if you want to think about a TV story, but, you've got your system of record where this package that you're building. That's our case management. And then you combine that with open source intelligence, which is, scraping the internet. It's, did somebody make a post that is important?
Yeah.
And taking those tidbits and then storing them in your system of record. And so our audience, our client base is a mix of both government and corporate security. There's a massive market out there for corporate security where, they need to, they'll do background checks on new employees. They'll monitor their different buildings because maybe, activist groups are threatening their different buildings or their factories. They want to do executive protection.
So you guys cover all that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, what we're doing is providing the tools to be able to organize and maintain that information. So it's not just you and I like chatting about what's going on and passing papers back and forth. We're actually collecting information in a place that is accessible to the right people at the right time. All the access controls and, hosted.
Okay. So it's not just, it supports the case management, but it's really collecting a lot of that data prior to if a case does happen, if the incident happens and a case is brought.
Yeah. There's
terminology is, but it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of data collection up front, prepare for potential.
It's, yes.
Okay.
And there's a difference between intelligence gathering and investigating, because investigating is post incident. Something has happened. Now I'm trying to find out versus something might happen. And if you are law enforcement, you're treating those two things very differently.
Yeah, for sure.
When you then move to corporate security, the rules are a little bit different.
Okay.
And that's okay. That's just how we're set up.
Yeah.
And that's, here in America, we sell internationally. We have clients all over the world, and everybody is governed by different rules.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys are doing at Kaseware. You've been there now for how many years?
A little over 2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
And we've also had a lot of growth. Lots of growth. Yeah. I think there were maybe about 45 employees when I got there, and we're over 130 now. Part of that is the merger. That helps.
Okay. Yeah.
But we also just have had a lot of growth and,
So what's like the next biggest challenge for Kaseware? And if you could share, like, how are you guys planning to overcome it?
Yeah. The, challenge, opportunity, what's the difference?
Glass half full, glass half empty. Drink the water.
Yeah. I'm not very negative. So
I like that.
I don't see a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
One thing right now is, again, depending on the country you're in, and we could talk about in the States here, there is still a lot of hesitancy to use anything AI. And so what we are doing a lot of is explaining, we use Microsoft products.
Sure.
So, cognitive services is this thing that they had for a while. They had it
fancy word for AI.
They had it 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you can do things like speech to text or translation. Right. So if you're getting a victim statement and someone is speaking Spanish and you've recorded that, we will, in our product, using the Microsoft services in the background, we can translate that for you, or we can. We can do both. Sorry, we can do the transcription, the audio, and then we can do the translation into a different language. That's been a feature we've had for a while. Before people started saying, "Are you using AI?" And so it's really interesting to differentiate between, okay, this is a victim statement that we are sending to Microsoft in a secure way in their government cloud, following all the rules and coming back, and nobody else can see that and nobody is keeping that. And I think that's what has changed in the last 2 or 3 years is there's concern that companies like Microsoft, other companies that are providing AI services are keeping the data and training on the data. Once we can get past that perception, it's better. But I'll tell you what, we've added new AI features, and mostly in the US, clients are like, my state or my government has told me, my local city government or county or state has said, no AI, don't use AI. Yeah. So it's unfortunate because at some point that'll be okay.
Right.
We just got to get over that hurdle.
Well, yeah, but at some point, and then it's like, well, at what point?
Yeah.
Because, if you have to wait 10 years, if there's it's like the self-driving car stuff. It's like, if the legislation comes in, just locks it all down.
Yeah.
You're kind of screwed depending on what your roadmap was.
I get it. And I think what is going to happen, and this is what we're pushing for, we'll respond to RFPs, requests, proposals.
Yep.
And a lot of states now are sending in a questionnaire. Like, if you use AI services, here's 5 questions to answer before you can submit. And they're great. And they're all kind of the same.
Right.
We're trying to get in front of that and say, hey, here's a FAQ on AI specifically for our US based law enforcement. We're not storing your data. Nobody's training information on your data.
It feels like a repeat of the initial move to the cloud.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, in some sense, reservation is appropriate, required.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And, you have incidents like Facebook, many years ago now that was selling data to freaking, I don't know, third world country somewhere crazy.
I can't go shopping without somebody knowing that I prefer to buy, sourdough.
Yeah. It's crazy. Right. It's absolutely crazy, but it's this, like you said, it's almost just this emotional thing where people have to sort of see that it's the same cycle. We will get over it. There are secure ways to do it now.
Absolutely.
Encrypt data at transit, encrypt data at rest, certain kind of fundamentals that as long as you apply those to the AI workflows, it's kind of the same situation we've been in before.
Yeah.
It's just public perception kind of getting used to it.
Yeah.
And they will, because eventually they age out and the new generation comes up and all they've ever known is ChatGPT doing their math formulas. And they're like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Convenience.
But you've got to be careful. You still have to ask the questions.
Absolutely.
And we want to answer the questions.
Absolutely.
Like, those are all appropriate things. I think this is the year maybe where that kind of tips over, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing is I was at a conference. I mentioned that conference I was at.
Okay.
The other week.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, we were one of the main sponsors for it. And so we got up there and we have this tech panel and answering
the one that you spoke at.
I'm answering these, pre-canned questions. The very last question is, okay, what's something surprising a year from now? What do you think is going to be in tech that you wouldn't expect? The corporate answer is, I go out and tell you what Kaseware is going to have in a year to promote the product and get you excited. And like, I did a little bit of that. I'm like, I'm going to spice things up here a little bit.
Going off script.
Yeah. Going off script. So
I hope you enjoyed the last panel you'll ever do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, hey, oh gosh, I don't have to get on a plane. Yeah. Oh, great. I think, and maybe you've heard this before, right? You have more conversations than I do about new tech. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I think, if you are budgeting for full-time employees, FTEs, I think we are probably within a year where, and I'm not saying this is specific to law enforcement. I'm not saying it's specific to any industry. I think we are within a year where you now, instead of, this is scary, instead of hiring a human to do this job, you will hire an agent, an AI agent to do that job. And you will create the job description, just like you do. You will create the boundaries. You will create an account in your environment for them. They will have an email address. They will have a Slack account. They will have a calendar. I'm saying this AI agent
Whatever it is
will have those things, and that will be an employee.
Yeah.
Now, am I talking about replacing humans? Sure. Call it what you want.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get there in a year.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be in law enforcement anytime soon.
Yeah, sure.
Let me be on the record here. Kaseware is not offering that as a feature or even promoting it as part of the roadmap
Yet.
Yeah. But there are things for probably small companies.
Yeah.
Where if you need a receptionist, if you need someone answering your phone, and as much as annoying as it is to say you didn't talk to a human, well, guess what? Now you're probably going to talk to an AI agent that sounds human.
Yeah.
And they are your receptionist, and they're telling you, they're your executive assistant. I don't think we're more than a year away from that.
I agree. I mean, I think the only question in my mind is, again, I'm kind of a builder, right? So the only question in my mind is how exactly that looks.
Yeah.
Because I could very easily see, because on the one hand, you've got like, okay, Indeed.com. Is Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter or whatever, are they literally going to have a suite of job descriptions they built agents around? So it's basically one company providing a bunch of different agents, or is it going to be like the Intercoms of the world out there where it's one company who has fully specialized in one skill set, and you're going to have 100 different companies that could do 100 different things. So you're hiring 100 different companies versus one. I think that's what his question is.
If you're hiring an AI agent that you don't have full control over, why do you want the liability?
Right.
And you don't have to pay, benefits.
Yeah.
So it's a contract.
Absolutely.
You're going to contract with the company that provides those agents.
Absolutely. Now, the only thing is I agree with all this, and I do think, regardless of how it looks, it's coming for us.
Yeah.
The sooner we embrace it, the sooner we kind of get over it and just get past that hump, the better we're going to be. I do wonder, though, I'm not a doomsdayer by any means, but you kind of saw this cycle with social media where everybody loves Facebook, whatever. And then at some point, even though we all still use Facebook, at some point we're like, hey, it's actually addicting. It's bad for kids.
Oh, sure.
It's our human connections are getting worse.
Yeah.
And there's a large subculture we don't want.
Yeah.
I've been on Facebook for years now.
Yeah.
And it's the only reason I'm on social media is for my business.
Sure.
And even then it's very limited. And I've got people who do it more than I do it, half the time.
Yeah.
So I do wonder what this is going to look like 10 years from now, where it's like, we're going to hire all these agents to do all of our support and CSR and sales and this and that and the other. And at some point, I'm actually very confident this part of what's going to happen is that there's going to be all this backlash of like, the world is not real anymore. I don't even know if I'm talking to a company anymore because I got to go through 3 layers of agents before I talk to somebody. And that somebody's maybe the founder, maybe not. I still don't know. And so I think there's going to be some kind of change that happens where we identify sort of the subset of jobs that are socially acceptable to be run by agents.
Yes.
And then we're all comfortable there. But I don't know. It's like, maybe when I pick up that phone, I actually want to talk to a human. And so there might be these things that agents live in that space for a solid 10 years. And then eventually we're like, no, we want the human touch back.
Yeah.
And so
that's still going to be a premium though.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to completely roll back time.
No, you're not.
It'll be a premium for those that can afford it.
Either a premium or it'll be a new market, because it's like, hey, I don't want the Microsoft CRM because every time I pick up the phone, I got to deal with an accent.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, well, I'm going to opt for whatever the localized alternative is. You know, I'd rather just go to Google Sheets and run my own thing and just not deal with Microsoft. So I think there will be a subculture, like to your point though, like I don't think it's ever going to take over.
Yeah.
We're not going to reverse time and what's happened, but I'm curious to see how that all shakes out.
Yeah.
Last question, we'll wrap up. I've taken too much of your time already.
Wow. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here,
man. Me too.
Move back.
I miss the mountains, dude. I miss the water, the hills. It's beautiful. What a great backdrop, but it's just too dark.
Oh,
it's just too dark in the winters. I've been loving my sun, my sunshine.
Yeah.
We'll be right there. I promise. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
You can eat. Can you what?
Watch something.
No. Jeez. You already knew the answer to that. No.
Who are you looking to connect with? Kaseware.
Started playing tennis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wouldn't mind getting a good tennis coach. I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
Tennis coach.
Yeah.
So I know of a tennis coach.
Really?
I used to, I played music all my life.
Yeah.
And I was in a band a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And the singer of the band now teaches tennis lessons, and he lives out maybe Maple Valley, a little bit far from you.
See, this is why I give real answers.
But he's there. He's there. And he probably knows somebody down here if you want to get somebody more local.
Yeah. There's a couple options and, there's like a good recommendation. So
I'll put you guys in
I
touch.
started playing 6 months ago. I love it.
Yeah.
My body is not ready for it. So I got to take it slow, but my mind is like, this is awesome. I have so much fun. Yeah. That'd be
All
great.
right. I got you.
Oh,
Anybody else?
no, that's it. That's it. There's a guy I want you to connect with.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. His name's Joe Razor.
Joe Razor.
And I will text you his company.
Yeah, sure.
I should plug it here. I should know off the top of my head, but I don't. He and I worked together. We actually knew each other before we worked together. It's kind of a funny story how we ended up at the same company, even though we hadn't talked a bit. He's a product guy, and he's one of the people you talked about. Like, hey, I have access now to all these resources. I can go build things, and I'm going to go do that. And he has just like 100 miles an hour.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he's a good dude.
Awesome.
And he's in a band.
Oh, yeah. Well, if he's in Dallas, we'll jam.
Yeah, I should.
If he's ever
I wish I knew the name of his company and his band.
Well, we'll put it in the show notes or something.
He's a good guy. You should connect with him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks so much, man. You've been awesome.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah.